first time that I went to LPS, we were sleeping on mats. At the time, the people in Lincoln Park said, okay, these guys are out here on the streets, so let's just get them overnight programs. It was when I came to Lincoln Park Community Services over here. I don't say shelter. The reason why I say services, because a shelter is just overnight. But when you have services, services have a lot of things to offer you. When a lot of people ask me what was my experience like, I was like, it's like a roller coaster every day. You're going up and down, up and down. Some days you stay up, some days you stay down quite a few, but know this, you can bounce back. To my case manager, she did say one thing. She said, ain't you tired of beating yourself up? So we're gonna get you some help if you don't mind. Now the thing it is, it's not a game, it's not a trick. She said, it's up to you what you want to do with this. You want to go take it easy, or you want to take it at your own pace, or do you want to get better at it? And I wanted to get better at it. They encourage you to do what you got to do whenever you're ready to do it, but if it's something that's bothering you, they're encouraging you to do what you got to do so you can get better one day at a time. Personally, here at Lincoln Park Community Services, we would like to thank you, all the guests here. Thank you for coming out. At times it be so rough on us, but when y'all come out, spend time with us, sit down and talk with us, that means so much to us. Thank you for opening up to us. And thank you for really working. And we pray that you all stay safe. And if it's anything we can do for you here at Lincoln Park Community Services, we love you, we give you hugs and kisses, and we thank you.
This gratitude extended by Tyrone is a deep gratitude. LPCS has grown to be so much more than a shelter. It's grown to be a space providing comprehensive services for our neighbors experiencing homelessness. This growth from shelter to service has happened because of you. One of those services you have helped us grow is addressing food insecurity. According to Feeding America, 1 in 7 people in Cook County will experience food insecurity this year. This was before the COVID-19 pandemic. Among people experiencing homelessness, this number gets closer to 1 in 1. Oftentimes, individuals experiencing food insecurity have to make the choice between using their last resources to pay for either food or housing.
To me, food security means it's not something that I have to think about in my everyday. We all have those items in the back of our head that just sit there as we go about our day, and we go to work, we have our tasks, we have our families that we have to tend to, and there's always those items that just sit in the back of our head, like, oh, what about this, or oh, I have to do this. To me, food security means that wondering about my next meal is not one of those things I'm thinking about. LPCS addresses this because we offer those 3 meals a day, no questions asked, to our guests who reside here. They can go about their day, they can do the things they need to do to find a job, to work on whatever skills they need to work on, to get the help they need in whatever mode they need, without wondering when are they going to get that meal. So we address that by helping them be able to do the things they need to do without wondering about their meals.
It's to give back the guests a home-cooked meal feel. A lot of the guests, based upon the demographic they've been at, or they've been living on the street, some of them do not get home-cooked meals. Some of them as well haven't eaten for days, or just can't get food at all. So us being able to give them a home-cooked meal warms up the heart, and that's one of the best feelings, is to see them actually eat the food, and you get food, good cooked food. You hear from other guests that have come from other shelters that they either don't eat good food, or they eat sandwiches and they don't get cooked meals on the daily. So to be able to provide that for them makes all staff happy, especially myself, knowing that I come from a cooking background, so I can also work around in this beautiful kitchen that's a dream kitchen, so it goes hand in hand.
Food insecurity has heightened as a result of COVID-19. However, the LPCS community has worked creatively and collaboratively to ensure that our guests continue to receive the comforts of meals prepared with care, relieving one piece of the extra stress brought on by this pandemic.
As you can imagine, things are drastically different now. At the beginning of shelter in place, we had to halt all on-site volunteer activities. So then we really had to pivot and figure out how can we still provide the things to our guests that are volunteer-led without having our volunteers in the building. We pivoted to this model of meal drop-offs. So volunteers were still cooking at home, or they were also ordering a restaurant delivery meal to also help the local restaurants during the COVID times. We also turned to virtual classes, which Zoom became the mode in which all of our classes were taking place. And so our guests were still able to complete financial literacy courses. They were able to get resume coaching and interview skill coaching with their volunteers.
There's a huge element when it comes to meals of kind of like camaraderie and just having a good environment. The meal is kind of like one of the first things you do in the day and the last thing you do at night. So when the guests who are already often, people who are disenfranchised or have a lot of their needs neglected, when they see that people are actually putting in effort and time and care into their meals, I think that it really changes the dynamic and the environment, especially between staff and guests. And honestly, for street-based, it could be even more crucial just because of the scarcity of food and resources and knowledge of resources. I think it's hugely important for people to keep going and just know that they're cared for on that level.
The community itself, partaking together, people getting to know each other, guests, sharing stories with each other about the experiences, about the ups and downs and the triumphs and also some of the defeats, but they uplift each other here as well. And during mealtime, you can share those stories. And also we have success stories here where some of the guests who graduate, they share it at mealtime as well. They ring a bell and it shows the success of you staying on track with the program and being committed to what LPCS offers as an organization. And we work with you, you could progress and graduate, and that's the best outcome.
For the last 35 years, our guests have been positively impacted by the volunteers so invested in our mission. One of the ways our volunteers are most intimately involved is through our meal program. Many individuals come together with their closest friends and family and build community through the service of others. Some of them have been doing this for more than a decade and continue to give through the pandemic. These are some of their reflections.
There's no better way to start a day than giving and seeing people happy with what they have received from you and working as a team to make that happen.
So interesting to come and to see new faces and to hear their stories and knowing what they're going to be doing for the day and where they hope to be next. And I love that part of it.
I've been serving food to people since I was 17 years old. I've made a living of serving food to people. But when you're serving the guests of the LPCS and you're sitting down and you're talking with them, my heart swells like it's never swelled before in all the food that I've served in my years.
At times when there have been guests who've been here for a long time, they have always been very glad to see us. They come in, they say hello, they ask how they can help, and that's always wonderful. When there are guests who are new to us, you just see when you're in the room eating with them how they warm up to you. How they're happy that they are not only getting a warm meal that was prepared by people who care, but also that we're interacting with them on a one-to-one level. We're sitting down with them, eating the same food with them. And I think that there's a very positive aspect in that socialization, not only for the guests, but also for the volunteer.
The guests are always so thankful, and they'll always say, thank you. And I always turn and say, thank you. And I had someone say, well, why are you thanking us? I'm like, you have no idea what it does for us.
Most of us in our group really tie cooking with nourishing others. Certainly I do. It's been a passion of mine for years and years. And I've always associated with good times around the table.
Who won't be first?
And nourishing. And I think that ultimately drives sort of the magic of the meal times. It's people being nourished by others that take the time to care, take the time to really make nice meals, and then sit down and talk. I often will go out after we do our plating and just sit and talk with people, ask them how they like the food. Was there something unusual about it? Because I'm always trying to find different cuisines, different meats, whatever, to kind of challenge the taste of our guests.
And we've been doing this now since the middle of 2009, and we have done the math and we figured out that it is over 11,000 meals that have been served just as a result of that meeting that I had with Aaron Ryan back in early 2009.
I had a longtime friend. First met when we were 21 years of age. We started working together at the age of 28. He was my boss. He was a chef. I was a sous chef. We became roommates. We were roommates for 12 years, and we worked at different places together. And then after a period of time, he got down on his luck. I mean, just decisions did not go his way. And he found himself in a declining situation to the point of homelessness. One day I said, Mike, I think you need to look at the LPCS. He called up, they went through the process. I checked him in on a Wednesday, and I served him breakfast on Thursday. And it was such a humbling experience for me that we worked together for so many years. Life is fragile, and all he needed was just some support from the people at the LPCS, and he said these meals made a difference in his life.
I've been around other places. I would never say anything bad about them because they're all working their butts off. But the professionalism of LPCS, sincere way they understand their mission and make it the focal point of what they do, certainly brought them from 600 Fullerton to this wonderful, wonderful building. I guess that's what I would say. If you're a donor, you're not wasting your money. If you're giving your time, you will come out of here more enriched than when you came in.